George, my
Go ahead, we're ready, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome to the Fraser Park Public Utility District regular state planning and project meeting for Thursday, June 26th, 2025. The time is 4:00 p.m. And we do not have any additional teleconference locations. We do have people on Zoom. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We're going to start with a pledge to the flag. Easy does it. Ready? Wait for you.
Okay, Doc, sorry.
No problem.
My leash bugs me all the
You
time.
have to wait for me.
Begin.
Excuse me, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call directors, Director Garcia.
Here.
Director Nyman.
Here.
Director Gibson.
Here,
Director Kelly.
here.
And I'm Director Schoenberg, and I am here as well. Okay, item 2, discussion, vote, adjust agenda if necessary. Do we need to discuss, vote, adjust?
Do we have to
Anything?
closing? Do we need closing?
Yeah, closed session, yes.
Okay. That's the only thing we always need to find out. I
Okay,
think everything else is pretty,
okay, hearing none, we will, if we need to, we'll do that during the meeting. Okay, item 3, public comments is for items not listed on the agenda. We can limit this to 5 minutes. Thank you. Any public with comments or anyone with items not on the agenda? Okay, item 4, managers report.
I got nothing to report.
we like that.
Okay. Item 4A, administrative assistance report.
So I have everything put together for the annual assessment. I have the past due accounts, which there's quite a few this year. I have the current special assessment for standby fees ready. Due date is the end of this week, but with us having our meeting on Saturday, I wasn't just gonna send it to them and then tell them, not knowing whether we were gonna use it or not. So if it doesn't pass, I have the assessment ready for Monday. If it does pass, I'll get the new assessment from Greg. So all that stuff is ready to go. Finally, I purchased the 5 standard licenses for the office and then had to prove to Microsoft that we own our .gov domain. That took a while. But that finally got locked in, so now Microsoft has that domain. And just maybe a half hour before the meeting, I put it in Outlook and was able to send an email to Johnny through my .gov. So finally that's set up. Once that's squared away, I can purchase the 5 basic licenses for the board. I just wanted to do it slowly in case things weren't working the way they were supposed to work. But it's coming along, it's going well. But still a lot to go. But yeah, good news on that.
Perfect.
Okay, great.
Okay,
Any
thank
other
you.
questions for Tiffany? Or Johnny?
No.
Okay, item 5, standing committee reports. We're gonna start with accounts payable committee.
We met, we went through invoices, there was, everything is pretty standard and, we'll talk about anything else in financial.
Okay, state update meeting committee.
We met, but everything's gonna be covered under all the items, so we'll talk then.
No questions for anybody? Item 6, ad hoc committee reports. Planning projects committee
We
did not meet. Easements and deeds committee.
We have not met,
Standby fee committee.
We did.
We haven't met.
Rate Study Committee,
Didn't meet.
And me,
Bond Book Committee,
we haven't met.
okay. So, hopefully there's no questions for anyone because none of us will be able to answer them. Okay, financial business, item 7. Discussion vote on accounts payable and financial information. This is Deborah Angel, who is online. You wanna go ahead, Deborah?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yep, absolutely.
Hello? Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
So we prepared one check out of the planning account to Tom Dodson and Associates for $11,394.33. And then we prepared 12 checks for a total of $6,402.73 out of the revenue operating account. And there were no extraordinary disbursements.
My only thing, and I don't think you need to change it, but I was slightly concerned with the, it does say FPPD LOW planning, but on Tom Dodson's, the memo was so odd, regular project pipeline alignment. I don't know if we wanted to add anything to them. I don't know, it threw me off, but then I knew it was the Tom Dodson's the Lake of the Woods, but I'm just thinking down the road, that might be a little weird. But that was my only, it was just kind of a comment, not a question.
what would you like there instead?
I don't
Because
know,
it was for the cultural and the,
I know, but it's a
And-
regular proj pipeline alignment. It seems like
well, it
a
was
not
for the
very.
pipeline going that way.
Yeah, but later on, when we have
The
stuff for the
pipeline
pipeline
project,
replacement project, it could look confusing.
So,
Not
You might
knowing-
wanna put FPPUD LOW.
Yeah,
or consolidation or
or
something,
planning.
anything else that maybe takes it out of the realm of pipeline.
oh, sure.
Cause I think he may have to do stuff for the pipeline, we don't know, so,
Or just
maybe-
put the planning project.
or just take that out and put the invoice number.
but that's, yeah, I don't know. I'll leave it to you, it was just my,
Well, I'm sure she put that because she didn't know what else to put, so.
I think it's on his. I think
That's
I
what
looked
was
I think it's on
That's
his
what was
paperwork, right?
on his invoice.
I asked Caitlin about that. Caitlin Dodson, Hamilton now. And it is for the planning and it's the environmental work regarding the cultural report. And they have produced a draft. They're trying to finalize it now. But they've got a little.
I'm thinking he needs to, Dee, I'm sorry to interrupt you. But I think where he has project title on the invoice, he needs to put not regional project. It should be, Fraser Park / LOW planning project, because when we turn this in for to the state for
I
reimbursement,
might get confused.
they might kick it back. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, Fraser Park Lake of the Woods planning, environmental planning.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would help.
so maybe they can update that invoice and send that to Carlos so that he
Okay,
can, because I know he's put it in one of the things, but we haven't sent it in yet because we don't have the amendment yet.
yes.
Are there any other comments or questions on the financials? Okay, can I entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion that we pay our bills.
I'll second it.
Hey, any discussion? We'll call it directors. Director Garcia.
Aye.
Director Nyman.
Aye.
Director Gibson.
Aye.
Director Kelly.
Aye.
Director Schoenberg is an aye. That motion passes 5-0-0.
Thank you,
Okay.
Deborah. Have a nice
Thank
evening.
you.
I came in.
Thank you. Have a nice evening, everyone.
I came in and transferred the money from the CIP into the replacement. And then stop the one, going from
What money?
700,000.
Oh, okay, all right. I
I
guess,
transferred that, and then the 2,500, I stopped going into the, replacement and put it into the CIP.
okay,
Excellent, mate, excellent.
excellent.
Thank you.
And she transferred the 11,000 from the regular, from our regular account
Account.
to
To,
the Lake of the Woods
Woods
project
project.
funding account,
so we pay Tom Dodson.
so we could pay now.
Tommy D.
Awesome.
We got all the
Any-
transfers done.
Any questions for our treasurer? Okay, thank you. Anything else before I move on to our closed session? Okay, so I don't know, I have a feeling this will probably be brief, but, we'll
Okay.
have Joan, so.
That'd be
So I'm gonna go ahead and make the announcements and stuff. Oral announcement prior to closed session, Government Code 54957.7A. A representative of the legislative body to orally announce the items to be discussed in closed session prior to any closed session meeting.
Don't forget your phone.
Which is go. Okay, item 8, closed session pursuant to Government Code 54957, conference of legal counsel, existing litigation, Government Code 54956.9D1. Fraser Park Public Utilities District versus CNC Elite Properties LLC et al. Kern County Superior Court Case number BCB-24-100199. And item 9, closed session pursuant to Government Code 54957, conference with real property negotiators, Government Code 54956.8, properties, parcel numbers 256-070-54, 256-070-55, and 256-520-13. Agency negotiators Lisa Schoenberg, Berman Nyman, and D. Jasper. Negotiating parties Jeff French and Emily Wainwright. Under negotiation, price and terms of payment. Okay, so with that, we are going to move into our closed session. I don't think that will be super long, folks, so excuse us for a few. The time right now is 4:12.
So once you bring this, change, sign my number. And then, okay. And then, room 1. Anyone? If any of them or Johnny's is in soon, we'll assign that. Okay. And then to Jasper. And the other one, we'll go in there. Okay. So since we're all here in person, it's only me, Jasper. And then. I open. Then once it's open, you'll see this screen. And it just means we, as the host, we can move over to the closed session room. So we go join. Join, yes.
So Pam, how are you doing?
I'm gonna have a heart attack. You just scared me. I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Pretty good. So do you think that Cam Miller is gonna be the new franchise quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders?
I do not think so. I don't know. I feel really good about this season with Pete Carroll, but my husband keeps raving about him, keeps, me up to date on what's going on, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. We definitely struggle in that area, and there's no hope of Carr coming back.
Oh
He's
no,
retired.
he
He's
was in
retired.
he was in Fresno. One of my buddies works for EECU, so they have kind of like a sponsorship. Both of David and Derek. So
Yeah, yeah.
they were actually there recording some sort of commercial or something today.
Well, we wondered if maybe they moved back there because her family's from there. His family's mostly in Bakersfield because my son went to Bakersfield Christian where his brother coaches and his other David coaches as well, and so does their dad. So we knew that they had homes there, and her family's from Fresno. So I don't know. I think he's probably sold his home in Vegas by now.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Yep, and you have to make that decision what's best for your family. But I had hopes that eventually he'd come back, or even a day signature, right? Just to have him retire Raider would be nice.
Yeah, yeah. Well, who knows? I mean, I don't know.
Who's your team? Who's your team?
Mine Raiders.
Oh, awesome. I didn't know that. So
Yeah.
Carlos is the odd one out for
Carlos
Mr.
is a
Cowboy.
Bear.
He's a cowboy, isn't he Cowboys or is he a Bear?
Bears.
Bears. Oh, I'm sorry. My brother is a Cowboys fan, so I guess I got him mixed up.
Yeah.
Oh,
We'll see
have you
what this season brings.
made it to a Vegas game?
Yes, I did, and actually, I didn't go this last season, but I did go, but not for that. I went to go see a Fresno State UNLV game,
Oh
which
yeah. Right
which
in
we
the
got
stadium.
slaughtered. But I mean,
Right?
yeah,
Oh, the UNLV games are pretty good too.
yeah.
Um, yeah, we just actually booked our flight, I think last week for our first preseason game.
Okay.
We're all set, and then I come back and have to drive up to Seattle for a conference that I'm going to up there.
Is your son still in college? How's he liking it?
Oh, he actually graduated last year from U of O,
Oh,
University of Oregon, and he is working in Roseburg at the radio station there. Right now, he's in Medford. He's calling the Doc Stewart Roseburg team in Medford. They're playing against at the tournament down there.
oh, that's
Yes, he's loving that. And then he does Springfield Drifters as a second job for the summer. They're a collegiate team that students who are in university, they get practice and training in during the summertime. There's a West Coast League. There's a California Collegiate League. There's leagues all over the place. He's just in the West Coast League.
very cool.
Yeah, he gets to call baseball and he's living his dream. Not making as much money as we would like because the student loans are through the roof.
Yeah, that's outrageous. I just got part of my loans. I was scared because I had done the 120. I had already completed the 120 payments for the public service,
Yeah.
and nothing. I wasn't hearing anything. And then finally, like in May, I called and I was like, hey, what's going on? Because at that time they were saying, oh, we're gonna do away with public service, and
Yes.
I'm like, I'm at 120 payments already. How are you guys gonna do away with it? So then they said, well, we don't have an expected time. Just be on the lookout and call your servicer every now and then. And yeah, finally I got the notification like maybe a week ago that the remaining balance for most of my student loan was forgiven. So that
Oh
was,
my God, that's incredible. No, we applied because we have Parent Plus loans. We applied for the income driven, and right
uh-huh.
now it's sitting at zero interest. Like they have not even contacted us. I have it on automatic deduction. I keep waiting for it to deduct once they figure out the interest rate on it, and they're not making any They have nothing decided for us. We're just in limbo.
Yeah, and then the best thing is to try to still maintain with minimum payments because that interest rate is building up. So once you have to go back into repayment, that you're gonna get like stuck with like
And
all that interest that like
on top of it. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's scary right now. I keep going into the account saying, okay, and we did a consolidation because we had, 4 different loans from each year. And there's so much conflict right now, we don't even know where it's gonna land.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know.
Yeah, that whole situation is just it's crazy. It's like
I
basically
know.
in limbo and one day you hear one thing and then it's really bad and then another day you hear something and it's worse.
Yes,
Like
I
you don't
know.
know what to believe.
Like, should just go down to 2% interest over student loans. Like, it's ridiculous how much they charge you.
Yeah, I think mine were like at 6.5 or something like
Yeah,
that.
that's what ours was falling at, like 6.5 for the Parent Plus. I think Knights was around 4.25. I'm not positive. His was the smaller of the two. Oh, they're coming back. Nice chatting with you.
Yeah, likewise.
I was waiting for Joan to come in and then I'll make the oral announcement. Okay, oral announcement following the closed session, Government Code 54957.1A. The legislative body of any local agency shall publicly report any action taken in closed session and the vote or abstention on that action of every member present thereon. We're coming back out of closed session at 4:31 and we did not have any votes. It was informational only. Okay.
No actions taken.
Uh,
No actions taken.
no action.
Thank you. Jackson.
Okay, item 10. Discussion vote update on Fraser Park Lake of the Wood Consolidation Planning Project. 10A, discussion vote review of the project timeline and budget.
Nothing new.
Nothing new, correct?
That's correct. Nothing new.
Okay, unless there's any questions, I'll move on to 10B. Discussion vote on the acquisition and development of well number 8. In closed session, Dee had let us know that we're waiting until October for another court management, what did you call it?
Hearing.
Hearing.
Yeah.
So, that will be October, so that's gonna stay on the agenda, but there's nothing really moving forward. Yes, Director Nyman.
Also, the application is in with Ruben just for review, but that's just for him reviewing it. As far as funding is concerned, we have no clue at this point, and we're waiting on funding. So, but he's reviewing it so that it can be ready to be passed forward as soon as they find funding.
Okay, are there any questions, comments?
I think, the only, I'm sorry,
Go ahead, Dee.
just the only thing on that is, if we get an FA by the end of the month and we get it signed, then we'll have the, we'll have the funding for the design of well 8. That's, wrapped up in that funding, agreement. And, we basically have it done except for the electrical. And we'll get the electrical and controls completed. The specifications and plans are basically done. There were a few comments that Jesse had, and we've incorporated those into the specifications that they were pretty minor, really. And so, we can just move that ahead. And I don't know, it depends. We can get the design done and get that all submitted. And then it's construction funding. Can we get early funding to actually build it? But we can move the design, we've substantially got it done already. There's a little bit of stuff left on that, but the electrical and controls, we haven't done that yet.
Anything else on 10B? Okay, moving on to 10C, discussion vote on acquisition development of well 9 and additional booster and tank site properties. Certificate of compliance, lot line adjustment, purchase and sales agreement. That was also, there was some information in the closed session, but there's nothing, moving forward right at this moment. Is there anything that you want to, talk about? Dee?
Pretty much, we're ready to sign the purchase and sale agreement. We can, as soon as that gets done and notarized, then we'll turn that in and open up, escrow on those properties. And, then get this thing moving.
So it's not that there's any issues. The holdup is the 4th of July holiday and holidays, July,
Yeah.
August. Okay.
People not being available.
Okay, any other questions, discussion on item 10C? Okay, item 10D, discussion vote on LAFCO work.
I submitted the, resolution, to them, and got a reply that they had received it. So, right now they have all the information that they have requested and that we're obligated to submit. So it's basically up to LAFCO. I think they're working on 4, SOIs right now. And so we're in that package, we're one of the 4. And, so as they move through ours, I'm sure there'll be some questions and we'll address them as they come up.
Okay, anything else on item 10D? Okay, item 10E, discussion vote on memorandum of understanding. We have this on here just to start going through this. Is there anything that needs to be brought up today about this? Questions, discussion?
Nothing from Lake of the Woods right now.
Okay, yeah, it's just on there in case we need it. Okay, moving on then to 10F, discussion vote on Lake of the Woods projects and consolidation. You're
Okay.
on.
Hey, guys. So we're still wrapping up, waiting for the final claim to be paid from DFA for the 3.5. Obviously, you guys know that they're in their fiscal year wrapping up, so they won't make any payments out until after the 1st of July. Nothing new on the other grant with the generator. I'm sure that's going to happen again after their fiscal year. Results for well number 4 from June 2nd, the iron and manganese are back to the levels they've been pretty much the whole year except for April. So which is less than 100 UGLs for iron and under, less than 20 UGLs for magnesium. Blending station, the samples for June were 2.69 for nitrates and 0.98 for fluoride. So really, really low. Our wells have gone down from last month. They've dropped 0.3 to 4.8 feet. Since January 2023, they're still up 5.2 feet to 34.2 feet. Since January 2024, they're down 6.3 feet to up to 4.2 feet. So, and that's it, guys. Anything on your end? Do you guys have questions?
Thank you.
So I'll get the spreadsheet out to you, Dee, next week once we get our meter reads in. You know how I keep track of the meter information too. So that'll be done Tuesday.
Oh, great. Sounds good, Pam. I keep updating every time you send them, so I appreciate that.
Perfect. All right. Have a great day, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pam.
Thanks, Pam.
Okay, item 10G, discussion vote on claim 55 and other claims and payouts. This is Carlos.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm here. I had it opened up, but it closed. Okay. So for Board of Directors fees, we had a total of $466.66. We had an invoice from Young and Woolridge and Associates. Invoice number 123629 for for a total of $325. Staff recovery cost, $83.16. We had an invoice from D. Jasper and Associates for engineering, consolidation engineering admin work. Invoice 25-00513. And that, all that work totaled $7,375.50. We had another invoice from Tom Dodson and Associates, and that's for environmental work. And it's invoice number FP-081-6, and that one totaled $11,394.33. And we had another invoice from D. Jasper and Associates, and that's for engineering design. Invoice 25-00512, and that one totaled $1,137.45. So the total for claim 55 is $20,782.10.
And Carlos, this is what we mentioned earlier, is you may need to replace invoice FP-081-6 from Tom Dodson and Associates because of the project title. So if
Okay,
that
as soon
changes,
as they send it, just send it my way and I'll replace it.
And also question, Tiffany, on the legal for Young and Woodward's, we've been paying all of their invoices, correct?
Ahead of time,
Yes.
most of them, not the more recent one.
Okay. So I guess that's a question that we wanna,
I mean, we're hoping to get this funding agreement,
I know, but then we still gotta wait for the,
the claim to go in and then.
Yeah,
everything.
so-
It's
so
all
once
in the way.
entertain a motion.
was I through talking?
No, but I thought you were gonna make a motion to,
No, but before we
Get that far.
get that far, my question is, should we go ahead and pull those invoices? I think we've paid most of them. So, I suggest that we, I make a motion that we go ahead and pay, Young and Wooldridge, ahead of time and hold that information till we get our reimbursement from the state.
I'll second that.
any questions or discussion? Okay, roll call directors, Director Garcia.
Aye.
Director Nyman.
Aye.
Director Gibson.
Aye.
Director Kelly.
Aye.
Director Schoenberg is an aye. That motion passes 5-0-0. So we will be paying in Wooldridge ahead of time until we are reimbursed, and then that will go back to us.
I will make a motion that we approve claim 55 with the invoices that Carlos had stated in the amount of $20,782.10.
I'll second that.
Any questions or discussion on that? All right, and that's including the replacing the invoice with the.
Yes,
title on it.
yes.
Okay, roll call of directors, Director Garcia.
Aye.
Director Nyman.
Aye.
Director Gibson.
Aye.
Director Kelly.
Aye.
Director Schoenberg and I, that motion passes 5-0-0. So claim 55 is approved. Okay. So thank you, Carlos, and we're going to move on now to item 11. Discussion vote update on the FTPD meter replacement project emergency well supply project. 11A, discussion vote on claim number 40 and other claims and payouts. This is Oscar.
So for claim 40, we have a invoice from D. Jasper and Associates invoice 25-00515 in the amount of $443.00. And that's for the project walkthrough. And that is actually the total of claim 40. The total is $443.00.
And that completely closes out that project, correct?
Yes.
Yes, and I just want to mention that I need to have the forms signed and emailed to me today so I can send them out tonight. Because I won't be available tomorrow or Monday, and Monday's the 30th, which is our cutoff date for final disbursement.
I think Tiffany knows about that, and we will address that right after the meeting. Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve claim 40 in the amount of $443.
I'll second that.
Any questions, discussion? We'll call directors, Director Garcia.
Aye.
Director Nyman.
Aye.
Director Gibson.
Aye.
Director Kelly.
Aye.
Director Schimmel is an aye. That motion passes 5-0. Claim 40 has been approved, and we will be signing that and getting that to you tonight, Oscar.
Awesome.
Okay, 11B, discussion about update on the bridge loan. Any new things with the bridge loan?
So for the bridge loan, we only have one outstanding bridge loan request, and that's in the amount of $13,288.60. And that was submitted. That was claim 38, which has already been submitted to DFA for reimbursement. So we should see payment for that claim sometime after July 1st. Once FPPUD receives payment for that claim 38, then and Self-Help Enterprises receives the money back from that bridge loan request, we will proceed to close out the bridge loan.
Okay, any other questions, comments, discussion? All right, moving on.
Thank you, Oscar.
Thank you, Oscar. Moving on to item 12.
You.
Discussion about update on pipeline replacement project. 12A, discussion vote on engineering and design. D.
We've responded to all the comments and resubmitted, so we're just waiting.
That's still with Jesse Dollywall, correct?
Yep.
You resubmitted it again.
Yeah, we
Yeah, I went back and
answered,
forth once.
yeah, all the questions and addressed all the comments.
Okay. Just want to make sure, because from our meeting, apparently he must have missed it in his inbox or something. And so.
Yeah, he was asking you to send something else that got sent out again.
Yeah, we've as far as I know, they've got probably 3 copies now. So.
Okay.
We've,
All right, thank you.
Thank you, D. Okay, anything with 12A, otherwise I'll move on to 12B. Anything else? Discussion? Okay, 12B, discussion vote on the project application. Carlos, is there anything else we need?
No, we're just playing the waiting game now.
One comment, Ruben is also the person for this particular project. So he is doing the review on 8/1. And then, but he's hoping that they are able to reassign it to somebody else so that they can do it simultaneously. But at this point, it's basically in his queue to be reviewed.
Okay, anything else on item 12? Moving on to item 13, discussion vote on the standby fee assessment. we are having a public meeting that's going to happen this Saturday at noon. Tiffany, is there anything?
Yeah, we've got about 300 plus of the blue ballots back now. And we still have about 200 of the white ones, so all those together will be counted.
But
He,
check for duplicates, right?
yes, they will check for duplicates, one vote per parcel. Greg sends over a script for the meeting on Saturday. So we have that. I made sure he coordinated it to our agenda items, so we understand which item is which part of the script. And the agenda has gone out, so we should be ready.
So that meeting, like other meetings we've had, combines introducing talking about the whole thing, so that if somebody changes their mind, they can still submit a ballot.
It's
no?
not gonna be a long explanation by NBS. The only explanation he has on the script will be coming from Johnny. Just a little summarization of what we want to use the funds for, the needs of the district. So it's not gonna be big informational, but of course we allow the public to speak whether they're for or against the assessment. And then there will be a final call for ballots at that point. We won't have any, as far as I know, blank ballots or new ballots available for people.
But if they bring them, they can turn them in at that
But
time.
yeah, there'll be a final call of the meeting.
Are they
Okay.
gonna be there?
Yes, because they're gonna do all the counting.
It seems like, so there isn't a possibility of having a ballot if someone changes their mind?
If you want me to,
I
can
think it would be a
email
good
them
idea
and
just
ask
in
them
case.
for blanks, but they're not gonna, we can't reprint all thousand.
No,
And
I'm
they
talking
wouldn't have
like
the
five,
APN on them.
I'm talking about a couple people may, who knows?
Yeah, but
like
if they
maybe
don't, have their APN
Yeah, if
number,
they don't have the APN on them, it,
kinda
And
invalidates.
the feedback I've gotten so far is I haven't had anybody except for myself say they were voting for it, and I've had a ton of people say they're voting against it, so. I think this is gonna be a quick public meeting personally,
the longest part's gonna be the actual vote count,
yeah.
because they have 500 plus to go through.
But, and if they change their mind, how are you gonna pull out the other one to put in that one, or the other two and put in that one?
That would be.
I don't know,
Yeah.
because normally in the past, we had a public meeting ahead of time to kind of explain things. and
We did,
didn't-
and nobody showed up. We
Yeah.
have the March 6th.
I was here.
Joan showed up.
Yeah, nobody showed up.
Nobody showed up,
No.
so, I think it's done. Whatever it is, it is.
Yeah, even though it was snowing.
Yeah, it was.
Even though it's snowing?
It was
Okay.
snowing that night, yeah. So the other people came by Zoom.
Okay, anything else on item 13? All right, item 14, discussion vote on the rate study.
Still waiting on self-help.
Oh, real quick, I just wanted to add to the last one that we have draft resolutions that the board will pass at the public hearing. One, if it passes, one if it doesn't pass. So we have two versions of it. Sorry.
Okay.
And they will be leading that meeting, or I will be leading that meeting?
You will be chairing the meeting. As far as I know, they're only there to,
Answer
counting.
questions and count.
yeah.
Okay. All right, item 14 again, discussion vote on the rate study.
We're waiting on self-help. Have we heard anything more?
No. Once again, you said it was like September.
Okay, so that's just on here to just keep place.
Yeah,
So,
September would be like the date that, like the latest that he would want to start meeting with you guys. So it could happen before, but September would be like the latest, so we can finish it in time.
okay, brief recess at this point. Does anyone want to take a recess?
No.
No. Okay, moving on to new business. Item
Oh.
15.
Thank you, Carlos.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
All right, thank you guys. Bye.
And I think Dee can go too.
Thank you,
Good
Dee.
night, Dee.
Thank you, Dee.
Okay, well, thank you.
Enjoy your
Well,
vacation.
do you want
Yeah.
me to go with the
Yeah, we'll
second
see how
one?
the Canadians receive us Americans, huh?
With lots of hugs and smiles.
Yes, I sure hope so, Pam. Anyhow, okay, well,
You
good
want
night.
to stay for one more, Dee? Stay for 15.
Yeah, what's
and then
that?
you can
Stay
go-
for- I'm sorry. Yeah, I can
Stay
stay.
for one more item, number
Yes.
If it's a
15.
different meeting, if
Yes.
it's another meeting.
We're talking about adding a whole nother meeting? I thought
Yeah,
it-
but
I thought-
he shouldn't be attending that. I don't even know what the purpose of this is, and I personally do not wanna. be
Okay, let's go
attending,
move on to 15 first. So, okay, this is discussion vote on having discussions with Lake of the Woods Mutual Water Company attended by the full Fraser Park Public Utility District Board.
My best attempt at forming an agenda item.
So this was brought up by Director Gibson. Do you want to speak to it, Director Gibson?
You know what, when I heard, yes, it would be really impossible to have a full board meeting. I would just, I wish I could trust the ad hoc to be more forthcoming.
Well, the gist is, I think, and the reason I kind of feel the same way that Director Gibson does, is that we heard other things out there that was said, and I don't know if it was said in the meeting or not in the meeting, but it was out there. But it was never brought to the board here. And that was that you no longer wanted to be part, you guys wanted to drop out because we weren't doing things right.
Not that they did, that they were talking about.
I think the
That's what she said.
reason it
That's what she
didn't
said. They're
get
talking
was the
about it.
discretion to not do what we're doing right now. But if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it. So-
Well, the thing is that as a board, I felt, or I feel that that is something that we should have known, that they were thinking that or feeling that or whatever. Considering that, because then that makes us look at things differently as well. And that, because that wasn't brought up, we're wondering what else you guys are saying and not bringing up for us all to know, because sometimes we think these little ad hoc things, they know, they're in the know, and the rest of us sit back here and we're going like, oh.
What's going on?
Right, and that's the reason for this item.
I have two things to say about it. One, an ad hoc, and you've all been on ad hocs, and not one time have any of you on an ad hoc came back and reported verbatim what was done in that ad hoc meeting, ever. You touch on the high points. I also feel like it was brought up at the next regular meeting to the extent that it was necessary, because a lot of the concern at the ad hoc meeting was resolved due to the ad hoc meeting. It was also brought to the attention that it was just some stuff they wanted answers to, so it didn't become a big public issue in front of everybody. So then if we bring it to the whole board and we talk about it out there, now it's out there for the whole public, and it wasn't an issue at that point. It was already discussed and resolved. So it wasn't a big concern for everybody. So
And,
I felt like that Hawk handled it perfectly in that situation.
and the
Hey,
current,
wait to be called on.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
She's had her hand up a lot longer.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Director Gibson.
Okay, what do you mean by discretion? Discretion of the ad hoc as to what information to give us?
No, discretion, because Lake of the Woods expressed that they were concerned, they just had questions. They weren't ready to say one thing or another. And so it was discernment, I believe, on our part, following their wishes to not bring it to a public meeting when they were still exploring things. And after that ad hoc, they felt like they were good. and it didn't need to come to the public. So this just brings up and opens this whole thing that we were asked kind of not to do. And I don't think that it was can you hold on a second? Let me answer and then you can answer. I don't think it was a decision by the ad hoc to withhold information from the rest of the board. And I'm really offended by the thought that you think that we want to withhold information. It offends
I
me.
would be offended too.
Yeah,
But
so-
I think if I didn't mention to you some information that I had gotten on an ad hoc that was as sensitive as that, and I withheld it from you.
It was resolved.
Yeah.
Can I say something? It was resolved even before the meeting. The information from the ad hoc we gave to them, they had already took it to their board and made a decision before the meeting. Okay, and the other thing is that it didn't want to be public because of the sensitivity of the state. I'm dealing with the state because the state has spent so much time and money putting into this project that it was a very sensitive thing that didn't need to be aired publicly. So it wasn't anybody withholding any information from anybody, just like our ad hocs now. You may not feel like you're totally up to speed all the time, but between Dee and myself and Lisa on like the state update meeting, we give you all the information. You know, we're giving you the information, so we are not withholding information from you or Terry. I mean, like she said, I feel kind of offended because I don't withhold information from anybody. I bring what needs to be brought to the meeting.
When we met with Lake of the Woods, and they'd already decided they were going with it. What was the conversation? Was it a special meeting?
No,
No,
well, it was their planning.
It was an ad hoc meeting that Joan had asked for.
Yeah.
Joan, do you
We
want to
didn't
say
even
something?
know about it, first of all, until right before, shortly before the week of your board meeting that I wasn't here, the regular board or the second board meeting. I guess it was brought up very briefly and not really explained. And then I had no idea until I read an email. And then we met like the next day after, or 2 days after a couple days after the email, because I was sick, but I came anyway. Hope was starting to get better, and it was them asking questions, although I think Joan maybe can speak to it, but it was a discussion by their board, and then they had subsequent discussions by their board, and they basically came to this ad hoc committee for information only, but they already really had most of the information that they wanted, I think, and it was just sort of a rechecking information is kind of what I felt like. Go ahead, Joe.
Let me clarify first. When I come to you, I'm coming representing Lake of the Woods Mutual Water Company. If I have something as an individual, I will say it as an individual. So to assume and presume that I'm speaking only for me and not for the Mutual Water Company would be incorrect. The reason we requested this meeting was because we had some questions and concerns that if the meeting was held publicly, anybody who is walking in partway into a conversation could easily misconstrue and blow it out of proportion. We did not want that to happen. We wanted it. Is there a problem?
No, I'm listening to you, Joan.
Okay. So we didn't want that to happen. We didn't want it to be where people were, oh my God, blah, 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 any of that. What we wanted to do is to confirm and clarify some information and express some concerns that we had. Some of those concerns have since been addressed. Some of them were discussed in that meeting, and other concerns were set aside for the time being, pending on what we see this board does. There was and I can see where you would be upset or concerned about this, that Lake of the Woods was questioning whether or not the annexation was to the best interest of Lake of the Woods. And that's why we asked for this meeting, to be able to review what's this, where's it going, how's it gonna go, all of that sort of a thing. So that we could get some clarification on that. Do you have a question?
It still does not feel, totally on board. It feels, what's that word? Not,
Not transparent?
not transparent.
Okay.
And the other thing is, I was concerned about it and I heard from it, after the fact. But you representing Lake of the Woods have come to us kind of aggressively.
In what fashion?
When you said that we had $800,000 that we were short on,
How much were you short?
I don't think we were short,
Yes, you were.
according to your figures,
No,
which haven't
according
been
to-
vetted.
No, according to Lisa's figures. She's the
Well,
one
how much short? I've never heard how much short were we?
This is, okay, this
Let me
is
clarify
not a
what happened.
constructive, this is not a constructive.
I'd like to clarify what happened if I could, please. And I'm gonna give you an example. Let's give an example that you've entered into a contract with somebody and you're going to do A, B, and C. And for whatever reason, you choose not to do C. And it's brought to your attention. Hey, you're supposed to do C. Yeah, I know, but I don't want to do that.
That's not how it went.
Lake of the Woods had some concerns that there was the position by the board that you had brought up, that there was a calculation error, not intentional by any means. It just was a calculation error that was discovered and was being attempted to be fixed by, that's why you were putting extra money into it. Our concern is that if you have a contract with somebody to do A, B, and C, and you choose to ignore part of that contract, that is an obligation that you have, and that's an obligation to the public of Fraser Park, of
I have a
community.
problem with the language. It's inflammatory. We didn't choose to ignore. We were putting money in the whole time. It was not brought to our attention correctly by both.
Your board made a vote to not put the whole amount in, that
We
you
did
wanted
it.
to go and keep it in your CIP so you could have easy access to those funds without restriction. And you were aware that you owed a great deal more than the extra $2,500
It's
a
not-
month. You hadn't
it's
figured
not-
out what that was, but you didn't want to make that transfer because you wanted to keep that money on hand. I can appreciate that. I would like to be able to keep money on hand as well, but you got a contract and you've got to follow a contract.
Okay, I still feel like some of the language is inflammatory and not giving the full picture of what was really going on. And yes, this board did vote on that vote that you're talking about.
Right.
I had concerns at that time, but my concerns were not that we weren't following a contract. First of all, it's a bond book. It's a little bit different, but it wasn't that my concerns were not that we were doing something that was not correct, that was going to break a quote unquote contract. It wasn't going to break anything. I had my concerns anyway, but I think that we need to be very diligent in the way that we discuss this, because I think just like we were using discretion, a lot of discretion and a lot of discernment on your issue that you issues that you came to us about because of your expressed interest in not having it misinterpreted. And yet, when you folks come to us, the way that it's expressed, it could be misinterpreted as well. And so I have real concerns with that, because it looks like this board is doing something wrong on both ends, which I really have a problem with, because I don't think we're doing stuff wrong. I think we're a very transparent board. I have, I'm upset about not being told that we're not transparent and that we're doing something that is not in the best interest of this community, and I don't believe that that's the case. So I would just like us to all use some discernment in how we express these things, because I think the general public is not gonna understand, they're not at these, I wish they were at these board meetings all the time, but they're not at these board meetings.
Because they do have a right to
And when you
know.
hear, yes, absolutely. But when you hear little snippets of stuff, but I think you have to be careful about somebody having a right to know something that, like, if there's a concern with the one party, being Lake of the Woods, not wanting to, not having made a decision, they hadn't made a decision, they were just like, mulling stuff around. So sometimes, you know, that's like, oh, I don't know, there's some things that you wanna have some discretion on before you like throw it out there and everybody starts rumoring and talking and saying that there's, you know, oh, it's falling apart and all that.
And
you
so
know.
you're in charge of the discretion.
I'm not in
you-
charge of the discretion. We were asked by the Lake of the Woods board to have discretion. That's
And
what we were asked. They just wanted to, they didn't want to come to a meeting and air all their concerns in a meeting, because it would get blown possibly out of proportion. And so they wanted to ask some questions.
Pam has
I
something
wanna,
to say.
okay, and then I'm gonna go to Pam. I believe, I just have a question. Is there a reason why we cannot record ad hoc meetings? Is there a reason why we cannot record special meetings?
We can record anything. we
Right,
want,
so
except
I would like to, before we go to Pam, would like to address that, and I can't put in a motion because I'm chairing this meeting, but I think this stuff needs to be recorded, because I'm very offended by some of the stuff that's happening tonight. And I want recordings of things, because I think that when you look at a recording, you can tell how something is, doesn't, you know, it just makes a recording available to the public. Should they really wanna come and listen to it?
I don't think that's a good idea. I personally think, because it
Okay,
had,
let me go to Pam and then you can address that. Because I can't make a motion anyway. Pam, go ahead.
So I just wanted to say that I thought that your ad hoc did a great job coming back to you with what the concerns were. And so did Johnny. They tried to explain it to you. We sent out the email on Friday. Monday, we had the meeting. We talked about the whole bond situation. You guys put it on your agenda to have a discussion amongst your board. They brought that delicately and handled that really well. That was our concern, because we're going into a contract with you. We want to make sure you're handling your contracts that you currently have, so that Lake of the Woods will feel comfortable. The other things we wanted to make sure that
Thank you for saying
is,
that, Pam.
yeah, they are bringing it back to you, and they literally brought it back to you that Thursday. So, and then our board needed to digest a few other things. We were feeling like our wells were doing better than we expected. And Dee explained a lot of information to us about how the drilling was, and that helped alleviate some of our concerns. And we need to have a pulse on what's going on, where we're at now. 10 years ago is when we started this. Where are we at now? Does Fraser Park still want to go forward? Does Lake of the Woods still want to go forward? Is it the best situation for our customers? And really, we both need each other right now. We need to work together. And I'm sorry it's coming across really crass, I don't know, or feeling like we're not being transparent. There's a lot of moving parts and a lot of emotion and a lot of community members that we all love and care about. And I think that's all I have to say. I'm just getting emotional for you guys, because everyone is working really hard on these projects.
Thank you, Pam.
Thank you, Pam, Director Diamond and then Director Gibson.
well, as far as the ad hoc committees are concerned, I mean, there's a lot of discussions that go on, and I don't think it's appropriate to have all these things recorded, because it's just not.
I think Pam also pointed out that we did relay the information, even though you felt like we didn't, but Pam also feels like we did, like we felt like we did. So we don't really need to even carry this any further, in my opinion.
Well, Director Gibson was actually next.
That's okay.
Sorry, Becky.
I still feel like the stepchild on the board that doesn't get the information that everybody else knows. they were gonna drop out.
But everybody else don't know, only the
Everybody
ad
else didn't know. I brought it to the meeting. On that meeting day, I brought up the issue about transferring the money that, and the reason why I brought it up in that meeting was because of their concern about that. And that's when you guys found out. Now nobody is having serial meetings or going around. We bring the information to the board when we have the information. And when we have an ad hoc, like the state update meeting, I bring the information for the state update meeting. When this was one special meeting, and I'm sorry
It wasn't a special meeting. You said
well,
a
it was a special ad hoc, what I
It
meant to
was
say.
ad hoc.
And I apologize if somehow I didn't communicate it perfectly to you guys.
But we did, Pam said. that
Okay,
we covered all
hold
the
on,
topics.
can we be recognized?
Sure.
Joan is next.
Terry, I keep hearing you saying that, you're upset because you don't feel there was transparency because Lake of the Woods was saying that they wanted to, withdraw from the annexation. Is that correct?
And because it was heard by the ad hoc and not shared with the rest of the board. And an
Okay.
ad hoc,
All right, so I wanted to just stay with that you heard that Lake of the Woods wants to withdraw. I have explained it to you. Lisa has explained it. Brahma has explained it. Pam has explained it. We did not say we want to withdraw. Is that clear? We did not say we want to withdraw. We said we had some concerns. And whether or not it was going to be best for you guys, best for us. But if you keep saying, doesn't matter, you said you're gonna withdraw. I don't know how to put
I
it to you
didn't
more
say that.
clearly.
Oh, okay, maybe it wasn't communicated on the day of the meeting, perfectly. Because the way I brought it forward had to do with your concerns about transferring the money. And then you felt like it was blindsided. And what I will say is that after the meeting, we talked about it, that we were gonna bring that to the board about transferring the money. And before the meeting, she had sent an email sent to the ad hoc committee saying that you guys had discussed and were okay with because of our ad hoc meeting, it didn't need to be going forward, that they were gonna go forward with it. So
No,
that's
I
what,
didn't say that.
well,
No, I
that you,
absolutely did not say that. I said I would take it to the board
right.
and let them know what what was discussed in the ad hoc meeting.
And then after that, you sent an email.
Yeah, he was talking about the email that came like a week there. Yes, Johnny.
Ultimately, and I hope everybody understands, ultimately, we cannot effectively do business with ad hocs if at every meeting, we have to rehash verbatim everything said during every ad hoc. It's not possible. That's why you have the ad hoc. So the ad hoc brings the high points, the things that matter, that have to be voted on or decided on in the meeting. At that point in time, there wasn't anything to decide on because Lake of the Woods still wanted to go talk to their board to decide on stuff. So nothing was ever left out that you guys had to make a decision on, ever. Nor can any ad hoc cover everything and have you guys go over it again. If we're gonna do that, we might as well just have a 5-page agenda and have you guys all do it instead of having an ad hoc. I mean, it's just that simple. That's why we have the ad hoc.
well, I think I would have remembered and reported that they had wanted to leave.
They didn't want to leave. That's what we're trying to tell
Or
you.
they were having concerns. I don't know how we could bring it to each other because it's a serial meeting, but
You can't.
I feel slighted.
But you cannot bring something before a meeting because it is a serial meeting. It's no different than if I start talking about, well, I want to buy this piece of equipment. Then we're gonna decide on it. In the meantime, I decide that it costs too much money. I don't bring it to you. It's not that I'm keeping stuff from you. It's just that it's not something that has to be discussed at that meeting. And when it does have to be discussed, it's an agenda item. We put it on there. You guys all talk about it. Nothing was kept from anybody. Joan said she'd get back to us after she talked to her board. If there was more further concerns, then we would have put it on the agenda and we would have discussed it at a board meeting.
Yes, go ahead, Director Callen.
I know Joan came in and we went through the bond book. So there was concerns way before that. This was months prior to this, months. When they decided that we were $800,000 shy. She wanted to come look at the bond book to see how everything was supposed to be done. And you have always said, but then you said, oh, but they said that we needed to put it into this account instead of that account. So we've always been putting it in this account. So it's not like we have never been paying our bonds.
Exactly.
You know, so, but I feel like we said, okay, Lake of the Woods must be right. So last meeting, we transferred the money because Lake of the Woods feels it should be over here instead of over there.
No,
And like she says, we never vetted any of it. We don't know what should be there and what shouldn't be there.
that's correct, but we could still, that's why we created an ad hoc for you guys to go through the bond book, to take the time to look and see what the exact number is. And when we have the exact number, we will correct. But in the meantime.
No, because if we cannot take any of that 700,000.
Yes, we
out.
can. Yes, we can. If it's lower than 700,000, yes, we can. We only have to have in there.
No, we have to ask.
No, we do not have to ask. We don't have to ask anything. Okay, wait a
Calm
second,
down,
wait a
calm
second.
down, lower your voice.
All right, Terry. The way it works is you have your replacement fund and what they require in the replacement fund. And when you go over the next, the 15 years that we did, if it comes up to $663,000, then you can take out whatever that below the 700,000, you can take it out.
Every October 15th, you have to take it out. You
Right,
have to have
because-
No, not in the replacement.
Yes, in the replacement, because the replacement fund needs to be what they say we have to have in there. Now, like I said, you guys have to look at, there's been several times that the state has said you can take for the telemetry, we took out this much money. So that money, in other words, what has to be done is saying what from here to the 20 years or how many every years, this is the amount that should have been in the replacement fund. And then we have the authorizations from the telemetry, you can deduct that out, and that's what we need to have in there. And then we continue going forward with whatever that amount is what we're currently doing, that we're doing that amount correctly every month. So just to stop all this discussion, that's why I asked to go ahead and put 700,000 in before we even know what it is. So everybody can be, okay, we have the replacement close to almost exact, or we're probably over. And until you guys do the ad hoc and come back and report and say, this is what we need to have in there, then everybody's satisfied. Then Lake of the Woods is satisfied, and we should be satisfied. I mean, I don't understand this discussion that just keeps beating a dead horse over and over and over again. It's very frustrating to me because we've been transparent. They had some issues. They resolved their issues. We brought it to the board. That's why I brought it to the board saying, I think we should, because they had some concerns, I think we should transfer this money. And then it all blew up that you weren't transparent with us. And that's why I'm upset. So that's all I got to say. I'm done with the discussion. So whatever you guys want to decide to do, I am not willing to, I'm not gonna be going to Lake of the Woods meetings on this because I trust what they're doing and I'm done. And that's all I got to say.
I don't think this is for us to go to their meetings. This was
Well, I have a suggestion about that.
Okay, go ahead, Johnny.
Maybe you two, they want to know more, ought to create an ad hoc and go to the Lake of the Woods meetings. So you know what's happening, then you can come back and report to the full board. And then that way you're not feeling left out, because now you're gonna know everything firsthand.
I would like to be able to trust my board.
Well, I know, but I mean, I think you can, and if there's doubt about what you're hearing, maybe you guys should just be on your own ad hoc to go to the meeting. I don't think it's a big deal.
No,
I
I don't want
find
it
it-
to be us against them.
I find it very sad that I'm on a board where some members of the board don't trust. Like, what's that about? Like, I'm very concerned about that. That's a much bigger issue. A much bigger issue if we don't trust each other. That's a huge issue, much bigger than whatever Lake of the
Yes,
Woods
it
is
is.
bringing up.
It is a huge issue. But that is what I feel.
Okay. Yes, Joan?
Director Gibson, do you have any suggestions of what could be done so that you would feel that you would trust your board?
I think we're gonna have better, communication at our regular meetings. I think this board will, you know, Lord knows it's been a big enough issue, but, and trust takes time. And, you know, I've seen a lot of things happen in the years I've been on this board, and, you know, and I have a problem with it, and I have a problem with you coming to our meetings and telling Tiffany how to, do the bond. I'm like, I don't get it.
How to do the bond? When did I do that?
Oh, it was a few meetings ago. You wanted to do,
Tiffany, did I ever tell you how to do the bond?
I should bow out of this conversation, but
Yeah.
I honestly,
I don't know what you're talking about.
because I don't do the bond, maybe there's something.
no, it was, because she wanted that money transferred, right? And so she said, well, I'll tell you how to do it. You just do this and this, and, then you can do it right now.
Yeah, that wouldn't be me transferring.
No.
I don't think that ever happened the way that went down. I think she went over the bond book,
Yeah, Terry was at the
made
meeting.
the comment, which she thought we needed. The board has known roughly about that. They decided, well, what difference does it make if we have it in our capital improvement or we have it in the USDA replacement fund? It ain't doing us any good in the regular fund that we could access every day, which is the reason we initially kept it there, because back at the time, you could buy a tank for $250,000. Now, anything less than $1 million, you can't buy a tank anyway, so we might as well alleviate everybody's concerns and put it back in put it in the USDA replacement fund, so nobody has any issues or concerns. Because it really doesn't do us any good whatsoever in the other account. That's how it came
And
about.
back at the time, we were asked by the gentleman who did Prop 218, who came from the state, not the federal government, because we're talking federal government right now. But the gentleman who came to us to help us with Prop 218 from the state, basically had us set up that CIP fund. That wasn't like the board
No, that's what I'm
setting
saying.
it up. That was a professional telling us what to do. He looked all through our bond book. He looked all through how we did everything. We've had that happen twice. So we've had 2 professionals from the state come and review everything and tell us, because we're a board. We're not supposed to know necessarily.
And neither one of them, caught or read it to the point where they said, oh, we should have had this much in the
And
replacement
that's
fund.
what I'm saying. They made us, the state had us
No,
set up
no.
the CIP.
No, I'm sorry, you're misconstruing what that is. It's not the state. The state funded a rate study. They funded it. They didn't, the state never told us to do this. We keep on getting these people that have done maybe like the one we're gonna have now. Maybe if he's done 10 rate studies, I'm gonna be shocked. Which is what I've always said, we have to spend the money at some point to pay a professional to come in and do it, because when we get the people that help us, I appreciate it, but if they've only done 5 or 10 rate studies in their career, they're not really experts.
they're not gonna know the difference between a USDA CIP or a regular CIP. They really don't know. They're shooting in the dark, just like they have a computer model. They plug in the numbers and then that's what kicks it out. It's not the state telling us, it's a private consultant contracted by the state that's trying to give us the best information they can. And they do pretty good in that sense, but they don't understand everything about our business. It's very complicated in our business. We need to pay an engineer that does this all the time at some point, whether this time or the next time. Pay a real engineer to do a real rate study to understand all the intricacies.
So
of
that, the first guy was a real engineer from rural, that's what he
RCAC.
did, from RCAC.
But if
He
you
was
asked him
their
how many he
engineer.
had done, it wasn't
I
that
don't know,
many.
yeah,
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Anybody
But that's what
does
they
that
do.
many of these rate studies,
That's all I'm saying.
this is not what they. Yes, Joan?
May I make a suggestion? Somebody coming in from Sheep as a consultant is not going to be knowledgeable on your system to say, oh, you've got this, and this tank, this was put in here, this had a diver's report, this, on this street, you've got this diameter of line, and it was put in at this time. Johnny knows those details, but you're not gonna expect some outside consultant to become that in-depth knowledgeable of your system.
Well, yeah,
And on a whole, that's okay, but there could be circumstance where those little details would make a difference. And that's why having Johnny there to fill in those gaps is a huge help. As a board member, how many of you are as knowledgeable as Johnny as to where the tanks are, what the capacities of the tanks are, when they were built, when the last diver reports were done, of your lines, what streets have what size lines, when were they put in? I don't think any of you are.
Yeah, but a rate study has nothing to do with the bond book.
No, it has everything to do with it when they're trying to understand how much money is necessary. They base our rate not off of what we want. They base our rate off of cost to do business. That's their whole purpose, is to make sure we're not charging too much or too little in order to satisfy all of our responsibilities financially. That is exactly what the rate study is for. They look at what we have to pay the USDA, what we have to pay for ourselves, so we're prepared in the future. If we charge too much, like some companies can do, private companies, nobody cares. If we charge too much, the state is all over us because we're violating the Prop 218 laws. We're only allowed to charge so much. If we charge too much, they say it's mismanagement. You're not managing your company right. That's why the state pays for a rate study to come in and look at all of those things. And they do look at all of them. And I do sit down at every rate study and we go over everything with the guy. But they still don't understand if you have $1 million sitting in one account, why you can't just use that $1 million for something else. That, I don't know why that's hard to
Still called a
understand.
restricted account. So
Yeah.
to them, it's just like our auditors. A restricted account is a restricted account. They're both called restricted accounts. They don't see a difference. They just want to make sure you're socking away money into
Okay.
some account. Go ahead, Director Hunt.
Okay, what I want to say once again is that if from this special ad hoc, we did not communicate enough to you where you felt comfortable or that you felt like we didn't give you enough information, I apologize for that. In the future, we'll continue to make sure that we communicate more and better. Now, I don't know what else that you need from us, from me, to make this thing right, because I feel like we continue to beat a dead horse. And I wanna solve it for you. This was like, as far as I know, unless you're saying that all the ad hocs we've had in the past, you have felt like we haven't given you information. I mean, from what I get is it was from this one particular special ad hoc. But if you're feeling that on all the other ad hocs that I've been on, that I haven't been giving enough information, then that's a problem. And so I want to know what I need to do to help you feel more comfortable. Or you could just take over some of these ad hocs and I'll stay out of it and I'll just be in the meeting and that's fine with me.
It sounds good to me from what you said, and it sounds like what I want to hear and what I want to know. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much, and I'm really sorry if it hurt your feelings. I'm kind of brash sometimes, sorry.
And I think maybe instead of saying, coming in and saying, Lake of the Woods has concerns about our financials. You came in and
It's the way I put it forward. I think
we need to
I
move
was the
this
cause
money.
of this.
Lake of the Woods has got a problem with this money. We
It's the-
need to move it.
It's the way I communicated and I apologize for that. And I was wrong in that communication. So I mean, I will try to be better at that. Because I was just trying to solve an issue so that everybody would be happy. So that, and to me, it wasn't the biggest deal. I mean, as much as we liked it, like you said, to have the one account and have that money accessible without having to ask somebody to resolve the issue, I felt it was prudent just to go ahead and do it because we have the money. It's not like we didn't have the money or that we're short on what the bond says that we should have. So,
Well, no, and we've gone through the bond book and we know that, but I think it's because you guys came back saying, no, now we need to, although we've never, everything's been going, running fine for the 5 years, what I've been on the board or however long. And now all of a sudden Lake of the Woods has got a concern and now we gotta appease Lake of the Woods and so let's move the money.
Well, I'd like to also point out that Brahman didn't just come in and just make that decision on his own. 5 people or whoever was here had to vote on that.
Right, no.
It was brought up and then it was explained multiple times why the money was being transferred. So it's not like he just did it all on his own, came in with the
Well,
decision.
but that's,
You could have said no, Becky
I
could,
did say
everybody,
no.
I mean, everybody could have said no and then it wouldn't have happened. It would have been easy. It was the right choice to do it and that's why it was passed.
I think we can go forward. I for sure can go forward. Brahma's apology was, it's accepted and I feel good about it. And I think, yeah, your ad hocs now are gonna be, Becky might wanna know that.
Okay, so on item 15, are we just
we're just gonna let it.
letting it fall off the agenda? What are we doing?
Yeah, let it fall.
We're done.
We're done.
I'm gonna go
Okay.
thinking.
Okay, I'm gonna move on if there's nothing else to item 16, discussion vote on using doc access for website ADA compliance. I
Now
think
that
Tiffany
everybody's
has to
worked out.
Explain this.
What is this?
Okay, something brand new. If you recall in the past, when we're working toward our ADA compliance for all our PDFs and web pages, the only solution Streamline had was to redo the PDFs at $7 a page. And when you're talking 1,700 files that are multiple pages,
Wow.
5 digits to change them all. And that didn't include anything moving forward because I'm constantly putting new PDFs on there. Well, somebody in Streamline came up with a whole brand new system. It's a program outside of our website company, but it's integrated into it. And I'm gonna show you on the screen if I can.
Thank you, Dee.
Thank you, Dee.
You don't have to stay unless you want to.
You don't.
No, I closed the thing so I could show you what doc access looks like. So right now, our website's on a free trial of doc access because that's the only way they could show me how it works. And what it does is it doesn't take my PDF, change it and put it back on. What it does is, if you look, here is an example of tonight's agenda. It has exactly how I created it in the format that I created it. On top, there's a toggle switch. If somebody needs to see it in an ADA accessible form, they hit the toggle switch
Oh, wow.
and it converts to PDF. So only in that other screen, it's not a permanent conversion. My PDF will always exist as is, but it can overwrite. People can ask questions to get more information on the PDF. They have more additional disability assistance, and I was telling Johnny, you can translate it into any language. So the reader can go on there and translate the
Wow.
PDF into any language. Completely different ADA solution. Like I said before, the first one where they changed the PDF was $7 a page. This is about 6 cents a page. So it's still a page cost, a per page cost, but there's a big difference between $7 and 6 cents per page. And you can see it has a lot of tools that come along with it.
Quick question. So for compliance, if this is integrated with the website, do you have to actually have every document translated? Or if this is integrated, do they just charge you as someone needs to have it changed?
No, it's, okay.
Do we need to change everything on there?
There's two categories, and it's mostly PDFs as opposed to webpage compliance. It's the PDFs that this focuses on. If the PDF is already compliant, we can tell Doc Access, you don't need to do anything else with it. You don't have to have this thing, and then we don't have to pay for it. If it's not compliant, Doc Access will fix it, but it's a flat rate per page of what's on the website, regardless of if somebody's accessing it for accessibility or not. So it just integrates right in. If you're talking, give me 1 second.
Yeah, sure.
If you're talking monthly cost, the reality is at the number of pages we currently have. Keep in mind, I deleted a lot of what we used to have on there. What we currently have, you're looking at a cost of about $100 to $150 a month is the bottom line cost, as opposed to the flat rate 5 figures that only solves the now. It will always be a per page cost. So as we put new things on there, it could go up. As I take things off, it'll come down, but it's just not that big dollar figure that it was.
Johnny, and then I have another question.
So some of the stuff, are you, gonna have the tools you need to make it ADA compliant when you put it uploaded, or is that still just too difficult? And if it is too difficult, I don't feel like that low dollar amount is a big hindrance to being in compliance. The even if it was $200 a month, that's still, it's a lot cheaper than a lawsuit for not being ADA compliant, I'll tell you that.
It's a lot cheaper. It's,
Yeah.
like I said, between 100 and 150 a month. And to answer your question, some of the documents can be changed. I can do some of them to be compliant. I can't do outside documents. So right now, I don't know if you know, like all the financial information that the board financials I used to put on the website, they're not going on there because I wasn't gonna put extra non-compliant documents on there. This will convert it. I can't convert things that I didn't create. So like the financials that come from QuickBooks, not really, I can't really do that. I can do my own minutes, I can do my own agendas to make them the way they're supposed to be because I'm the original creator. Audits, I can't do anything about. Old grand jury reports that we have to leave on there, I can't do anything about it. I'm not the creator. So this is really good for that. But I hope that answers that.
That's good.
I have
Yeah.
another,
the year.
Yeah.
can I ask another question? So you were saying it's not a permanent conversion, so I'm a little confused. Why wouldn't we permanently convert? So that's why I was asking, is it every time someone comes on and they want to convert it to ADA compliant? So like, let's say I need it converted because I can't understand it due to whatever
Mhm.
disability I have. And that's turned on, so when I see it through whatever equipment I'm using, I see it correctly. for my needs.
Right.
But you're saying that it's correct for my needs, but then like, let's say we either stopped using the company went bankrupt, whatever, it's not converted.
It disappears. Doc Access disappears. It's on there so long as we pay it. It's an online tool. So it's not, yeah, it's strictly online, and as long as we subscribe to Doc Access, it'll be on. We discontinue, everything will look as it originally did, because this is, if you can see, my original PDF is what they have on there. That's all that's on there. And then the online tool converts it to be readable or accessible to those with disabilities.
I don't see a whole lot of difference. It's like,
You
it's like italic versus non-italic. That's what
Because
this looks
it's
like to me.
background, it's background stuff. So it's what their,
They
for
may have a
example,
reader
visually
or
impaired,
something that.
it's what their reader looks at in the document to be able to read it to the person who's trying to understand it.
Yeah, like if
So
you,
we can't see it. It's something in the
Okay,
background.
because
that the
I'm like,
reader sees.
I'm really.
no, like, let's
Yeah.
say you
I'm
can't,
like, I don't see
let's say
any
you
difference.
can't read, and so you're hearing it
Right.
audibly. So it needs to be correct for an
I-
audible reader, so
Right, I
that, so
understand
that someone
Yeah.
disabled would
Yeah, so
understand.
it's
Because I'm looking, I'm like, I don't see no difference.
beneath the surface.
So
Okay.
just so I understand, so
Mhm.
if we pay the 6 cents to have that converted, and 20 different people look at that and convert, is it still just the original 6 cents since we
Yeah,
paid for it originally?
It's
So that's
per
good.
That's
page
what my
that,
question
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, I
That's
figured
the-
it was,
yeah.
so.
oh, sorry if I didn't.
Not the
mention that,
person,
but yeah.
it's per page.
It's per page, not how many people convert it.
So once it's been converted once, just double checking this again, anyone who goes on there who needs that particular page, it would appear to them to have been converted. But if we suddenly,
Because
the
they would
company
hit the
went
they would hit
bankrupt or
the
something, it
toggle.
would no longer.
They would just hit the toggle switch.
Right.
But
Right.
but if we,
But then if Doc Access went away, there would no longer be this
A
toggle menu.
toggle switch.
No additional information on the right-hand side. That's all, everything you see on the right-hand side strip is Doc Access. And this can be used with any website, Jen, I just want to throw that out there.
cool.
It doesn't have to be streamlined, you can actually.
So it's just to
integrate
read
if
it
Nicola ever wants
to the
do that.
person that's got the ADA
This is a
issue.
great tool for the community, something to know
It
about.
reads it to you,
Yeah,
you hear it orally. They don't have to read it.
Some of it's
Exactly.
audible, some of it's probably something else, I don't even know. I don't think
Well, I
some
know
of it's
some people have to have it like a blue, you know.
Oh, background or
background.
something?
Yeah.
So they can read, oh.
It's all kinds of.
That's-
it
you have
looks like
to-
you're reading.
You have to put in your particular need.
So they don't need a reader no matter what. This program, this company is making it compliant for all of the known issues that currently exist that a disabled person might need.
Yeah, there are 4 categories. This is not me, but that of disabilities. So this should, everything on the website should be compliant to those 4 categories. One of them visually impaired, one of them is hearing impaired, one of them is physically impaired, and then the final one is mentally impaired. So those are the 4 categories. And through this tool plus everything else we've been doing, those 4 should be taken care
Get us over
Go ahead,
the.
Joe.
of. Yes.
Personally, I feel like just the fact that it translates it to any language is worth the 6 cents a
Amazing.
page without the rest of it, because we have a lot of different people in town now that read different things, read different languages, so 6 cents a page is cheap for the translation. I love
Yeah,
the
that
rest
sounds
of it.
good.
And, sorry, Tiffany, and how do you know for sure that, how do they know? Like, that page has been converted once, so it's not charged again?
Because that's not how it, okay. So Doc Access, separate program completely than our website. I link them together. I go directly into Doc Access. I give them access to our website, and it tells me you have 1,500 PDFs, pages, not PDFs, I'm sorry, pages on your website. Yes, PDFs, but a PDF.
So
can be
it's
multiple
charging 6
pages.
cents for those.
So I tell it, yes, please take all 1,500 pages of the PDFs and have them available in this format.
Got it, okay.
So it strictly goes on files. It read how many files I have on the website, and then it bills you per page of the file. So it only changes as you add or take away PDF. New month, 5 new minutes, whatever, then we'll get,
And it
30
knows that
cents
it's
more for that.
converted X amount, so it's only gonna charge you for new items that it has not converted.
it's based
Or
on,
it's gonna take away that cost if all of a sudden there's only, it's missing 20 pages.
right, and it's gonna be based on total files that we have.
Okay. Wow.
Should you ever feel like you wanted to go back and put everything we own from 1939 on our website for the public to view, it would see all those files and it would give you a new cost,
Yeah, we're not
a
gonna
new
do that.
payment plan. Obviously, no, we're not gonna do it.
But it would know the ones we've already converted
Yeah, it's based on total files.
each time. I mean, I'm saying it's based on, sorry, again, on BM.
A month, yeah, it's a monthly cost based on our total files that we ask it to fix. If I have a compliant PDF that I created,
I got
we
it.
can ask it not to put this tool on there and it would lower the cost.
But what?
But it's gonna,
But then you
gonna
don't get the others.
recognize, so,
Yes,
because
it
it's
recognizes.
going to tell you when you integrate it, that there are 2,700 non-compliant files.
Correct,
And
exactly.
600 compliant files, so it wouldn't charge for the 600 compliant files, right?
If we ask it to not charge for
To
that.
not charge.
But if we ask for it not to charge for the compliant files, you don't get some of these extra tools, the
You wouldn't get
translation
the
tools.
translation.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I guess if you want,
That's every
the question is
I have
whether you want to move forward and whether you want to move forward with every file we currently have or only the non-compliant files. And whether or not, how much, like how long do we want to keep stuff on there? Do we still want to keep deleting so that we only have 1 year of minutes on there?
I think
Yes.
As time moves forward, keep
Most
only 1
definitely.
year? Or do we
Because-
want to keep stacking?
Because if people want back information, they can put in a
Public
information request.
Right,
So I don't see any reason to have more than a year. I mean, we're transparent as it is, so
so yeah, it would fluctuate, but I think we'd stay within that
parameter,
$150, give or take,
yeah.
per month.
Good.
Files could go up and down, but you won't see a big change when you're only paying like 6 cents a page. So
Right, okay.
it's a pretty amazing tool. I think
Until
it
they
would-
decide, oh gee, everyone's using us, now, we can start charging $1 a page.
Thank you. Debbie. But there'll also be competitors that'll start coming along trying to undercut,
Right.
so.
Well, I'll make a motion, that we start, using Doc Access for our website ADA compliance. And that we, don't maintain any more files than meeting minutes and that for a year.
I'll second that motion.
Did you say for all files?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a motion, a second, any further questions or discussion? Okay, roll call directors, Director Garcia.
Aye.
Director Nyman.
Aye.
Director Gibson.
Hi.
Director Kelly.
Aye.
Director Schoenberg's an aye, that motion is 5-0, that motion passes. We are going to start using Doc Access for our website,
And then
ADA
we'll be.
compliance, and we'll see how things
Well,
go.
yeah, we'll be seeing the bills, and if there's a problem and it starts going up, then we bring it back and discuss it.
Rethink it.
Yeah, and it's a month to month. There's no commitment,
No contract.
no contract. And it's gonna be invoiced separately from Streamline. Although it was one of their people that created it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you were just hanging out, Dee, we just had a need for you back on 15, but
Well, maybe he needs to be ADA compliant too, I don't know.
Doesn't hurt.
Maybe so, but No, I just thought maybe, the, item number 19 might be an interesting topic. So if you guys don't spend too much time going through 17 and 18, then I'll stick around.
Okay.
for 18.
Okay, great, thank you. So 16, we are done with. 17, review and approve meeting minutes for 6/19/2025, the state update meeting.
I'll make a motion that we approve, the state update, standing committee meeting minutes for June 19th, 2025, with any of the amendments that were sent to Tiffany previous to and after the meeting, as well as any of the additional amendments for typos or other errors that we may not have caught or may need to be corrected.
I'll second that.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any other questions? Okay, roll call directors, Director Garcia.
Aye.
Director, Hyman.
Aye.
Director Gibson.
Aye.
Director Kelly.
Aye.
Director Schoenberg is an aye. That motion passes 5-0, and those minutes have been approved. Okay, so now we are on
18.
item 18, which is, sorry, I lost my place. Discussion vote on reforming the quarterly financial standing committee.
We were gonna put, Becky wanted to be on it and Terry, correct? Is that what?
If that would be okay.
Yeah. I make a motion that, we, reform the quarterly financial standing committee and appoint, Terry Kelling and, Rebecca Gibson onto that committee. Deleting, Director Schoenberg from that committee.
I'll second that.
There's a motion, a second, any discussion? Okay, Director Garcia,
Aye.
Director Nyman,
Aye.
Director Gibson,
Abstain?
Director Kelling.
Abstain?
And you could say aye. Cause you're coming off of it. You can say aye.
Yeah, but I want to.
Then I won't go
Then
forward.
I'm an aye. That motion passes 3-0, 2 abstentions. And, so that passes. So the new quarterly financial standing committee is Director Kelling and Director Gibson.
And you will be meeting in July, just as a.
Yeah, what date, do you know?
Was it 15? Let me pull it, the calendar. I think it was.
And that's,
Yeah, July 15th.
and that's at 11 too, right?
That's at 11.
July 15th at 11.
Got it. My mind's like a sieve, it'll come out, but
Okay.
Okay, item 19, discussion vote on forming and or dissolving ad hoc committees.
I don't think we,
We need to dissolve the, are we done with, we didn't dissolve it yet, the, meter,
That one was dissolved.
we did
last-
dissolve it?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we didn't. 'Cause I
Yeah,
thought we didn't have
The
enough
only outputs
directors.
are the planning, the easements.
yeah, I don't think there's anything that we need to dissolve.
Director
Well, I do,
Castillo.
I think we need to see
Are we
it.
ready to dissolve the standby committee?
Yeah, we need to dissolve the standby.
Yeah, because the meeting's in 2 days and then it's
Yeah.
over.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
nothing more. you
sounds
can-
good.
I make a motion that we dissolve the standby fee committee.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Okay, Director, roll call directors, Director Garcia,
Abstain.
Director Nyman,
Aye.
Director Gibson,
Abstain?
Director Kelling.
Aye.
Director Schoenberg is an aye. That motion passes, so the standby fee committee is.
I'll make one comment. I think that when you're dissolving a committee, I don't think you have to really abstain from dissolving it if you were on the committee.
Oh, okay.
I mean, cause you're,
Good point.
cause you're dissolving it, so, I mean, it's not like it's any kind of
Influence.
influence or
Yeah,
anything.
I mean, I thought about it.
But it's fine. I mean, I just
But it's
wanted to make a point. That's
Point of clarity.
Okay,
Yeah,
any
thank you.
other, Dee, what were you thinking that you were interested in this? Were you interested in us having a different Ad hoc committee that we haven't addressed
I'll get
or
my.
changed to an ad hoc committee that we haven't addressed?
No, none of those. I would just wanted to add a comment, regarding the ad hoc committees that you do have, particularly the ones that I'm involved with. I think this discussion that you had on item 15 was very fruitful. And I think if you really want to air this stuff, you don't want, board members feeling left out and feeling that way and then not being able to express that. I think it was good. My only recommendation there would be to maybe next time put it on the agenda as a closed discussion, but add in, Pam and Joan, or any other members that you feel might be best to attend that particular meeting, because you do get into some things that they're kind of personal, and some of those things that you might want to keep within the committee and have it as, just a closed session. But
Legally, we can do that. I don't think in the Brown Act, unless there's actual litigation that's going to happen, that we would be able to discuss that in a closed session.
just a thought, but
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
the other thing that I wanted to say was regarding the committees and really what you guys are really, really open. You put this thing on YouTube or whatever, and you broadcast it. Anybody that wants to listen to this can listen in. And, I think that's very commendable. Most districts don't do all of that. It's just you're very, very open. And I think that's very, very good. I think the only other thing that I kind of took away from discussions on item 15 would be maybe writing up a summary of the activities of the ad hoc committees when we do meet and we do discuss things, because ad hoc committees are created to on an unnecessary basis. You got an issue, and of course you got the Brown Act, so you can't have more than, I think, 2 board members, right, on an ad hoc committee, because that violates the Brown Act. But you can also bring a report back and maybe include a little bit more detail than what we've done before. And, for Terry and Rebecca, who are not on that particular committee, and Jerry, to fill in a little bit of the gaps. I thought that, Rebecca, your comment about, communication, I think that's a good one, because it's so easy. We get so busy, and it's just, there's just too many things to do. And so, the ad hoc committees are created to solve specific problems. And that's what our ad hoc committees are doing. And sometimes you're so busy doing that you get the problem solved, and then you go, okay, that's, we got it done and we're moving on. But then, it's sometimes, board members who are not on those committees might like to have a little bit more information and fill in a little bit more information to feel more comfortable as to what's really going on there. And, I do commend you for your openness. I don't know if there's, we work for a lot of water companies, water districts, cities, and you are among the ones who are the most open with your meetings, and that's commendable. But just those thoughts, it might help, those who are not on those committees to get a little bit better understanding of what you're doing. Particularly, I'm thinking about the things that that we just recently did with respect to, you know, our discussions with Lake of the Woods. And, you know, it's just, something that might help. Anyway, that's just my comment. And, you know, with that, I think really, your discussions on 15 really brought out some stuff that really needed to be brought out. And I'm really glad the way it ended up, because, you know, those of us who are involved in the committees, you know, it's really easy to get the problem solved and then move on to the next problem, because you're doing nothing but solving problems. And, you know, the way this ended up, I think really was very good. So anyway, it's just my thoughts from sitting out here and kind of listening to the discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dean.
Thank you, Dee.
All right, well, have a good weekend, and we will, let's see, I won't see
Have a
you.
good vacation.
Yeah,
Since
thanks.
we won't see you.
Oh,
Happy 4th of July
yeah, thank you.
and enjoy Canada.
Yeah, yeah, that'll be fun. First time that we've really
Make
done
sure they let you back in the country.
something. Yeah. I gotta make sure I
Need
get
you.
bring my passport, right? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you, Dee.
Good night.
Bye.
Night.
Okay, item 20, discussion vote on destruction of obsolete damaged records.
More to
Yeah,
clean up. More. It's the rest of the 700 stuff,
So, yeah,
and then I'll move on to the next folder.
okay.
Oh, I know, we got all the 700 stuff.
I make, oh,
Joan, go ahead.
Sorry, I haven't kept up with you guys on this. The building that the records that were in that were damaged because of a roof leak, I'm assuming that the records are either not in that building anymore, or the roof has been repaired. Is that accurate?
Johnny, I think is your question.
In other words, you don't still have existing records in there that are good, that could continue to be damaged because the roof hasn't been fixed or whatever.
What, the old office?
Yeah.
Wherever it is you have these records, whatever the reason was that they were damaged, has it been rectified that it won't continue to damage more records?
I don't even know what records you're talking about, they're damaged. The only thing that we talked about is there's old carbonless receipts that have faded to the
You
point
can't
where
read
you can't read
anymore.
them.
Okay, I'm just going on what it's written.
There's-
These are in this building, I
There's a
believe.
small,
The name of the form.
there's a main storage building down in the yard that's not, letting anything in. The old office does rain in there. We try to keep it covered with a tarp, but it rots. But there's no real records in there. That's more old computers and desk chairs and things
There's
of
some
that
old
nature.
encyclopedias or something in there, I mean.
Some of these records are here in this building, or
The
the?
only thing I'm working on right now
This
is
is
the
building.
file cabinet in
That's
my
it.
office.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is this.
She's trying to make some room.
So
Making some room.
these are old 700 forms that are kind of
Yeah,
not very helpful to
More than
hold
10
on
years
to.
old.
I don't know what seven
They're more
hundred
than-
means.
Oh, well, see, because you don't have to fill them out. Every
Right.
year we have to fill out the state form. It's a 700
a
form.
700 form is basically, a form that you put all your, financial
Assets of
stuff
interest,
in so
yeah.
that you don't have a conflict of interest. So,
Statement of economic interest.
Okay,
is what it's
got it.
called.
But these are the information packet for it, you know, just like your taxes, like, yeah, you hold on to your taxes, but not the
Booklet.
the booklets forever,
Right,
you know,
gotcha,
so this
okay.
is, yeah.
Some of them are 700 forms,
Yeah.
but everything, it's all the paper we're getting rid of. Everything's digital and we're not getting rid of digital.
Yeah, that was the other thing, is that everything we voted on in our Record Retention Act, everything is backed up.
I make a motion that we go ahead and approve, 1 through 5. The Board of Sub letter reminder to file eight records, 148 of the Form 700 information packet, 42 of the Young and Wooldridge 700 forms, 37 of the Board 700 forms, and 8 JPIA, rep filing information.
And I second that motion.
Okay, any discussion, comments? Okay, roll call directors, Director Garcia,
Aye.
Director Nyman.
Aye.
Director Gibson,
Aye.
Director Kelly.
Aye.
Okay, Director Schumber is an aye. That motion passes 500. you have our blessing to destroy those. And whatever, you have to sign off on that, and, so item number 21, discussion vote on future agenda items. I would like to
Make one?
make one that's probably gonna annoy people, but I would like to record the state update meeting. I think that meeting is full of information. There is no way I am gonna do a report.
We already
on
do.
The state update, we don't.
We audio record the state of.
Yes,
Oh,
we
yeah.
Yeah,
do.
how does she, that's how she gets the minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, but where is that recording? Is it accessible to?
It's an MP3 file that's on my computer.
I was saying maybe it might be good to put that one out to the public the way we put it. That's because I know it's an ad hoc, but it's.
Well, we
That's a
have the
standing.
minutes for it,
That's a
so,
standing committee.
And if people are interested in it, they could ask them to hear it, and they could hear it.
and if they're interested, they'll show up, they could show up to the meeting. I mean, it's a standing committee.
Well, they
Yeah, it's a
show up to
public-
ad hocs too.
Yeah, but other directors couldn't go to it.
That's right.
No, we can go to standing, we just can't say anything.
Yeah, they could come, they just can't say a word.
Yeah, because it's agendized. So yes, state
Okay, so then I
update
won't
is
worry about.
audio recorded, but I am not the host and I can't get the video recording.
Okay, because I didn't think we were always recording that. Sometimes it seems like we're not, but we are always recording it.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's just, it's the little guy and he said,
Okay.
seriously, no, I see him.
I always figure I'm always being recorded.
Okay,
choice.
that was the only one that I had the most
Need a recording
concerns about
contract.
because that's a lot of information.
And I won't be on the next meeting, which is why Joyce came in to make sure she knew how to do breakout rooms.
And I will be doing it remotely.
I may.
And
Not the one on Saturday, I'll be here,
I'll be here Saturday, but I may have to do-
Won't be here, I only know what we're having a meeting, but okay.
unless not.
I don't think we can
Just
do
let you
that.
know,
Okay, so, anything else?
And just be.
and there may not be board packets, cause I'm here Monday, but that's the only day I'm here,
Oh, good.
so. Then I'm gone for a week, so. Sorry. That's it.
Is it wedding time?
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Okay,
Already.
we're, anything else on
Mother-in-law.
item 21?
Mother-in-law.
No.
Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
I second it.
Okay, roll call directors, Director Garcia.
Hi.
Director Nyman.
Aye.
Director Gibson.
Aye.
Director Kelly.
Aye.
Director Schoenberg is an aye. We are adjourning. The current time is 6:11.
Thank
Good
you.
night.